What if one role, one outfit, one friendship, or even one harmless word could make the world question who you really are? These 10 handsome male stars were praised for their looks and talent, then trapped by rumors they never asked for. Some spoke out. Some stayed silent. Some lost opportunities. And one story near the end proves how dangerous fandom obsession can become. Keep watching, because by the final name, you may ask, were they hiding something? Or were we crossing the line? 1. Harry Hamlin, the role that closed the door, before the internet, before stan culture, before hashtags could destroy a man overnight. Hollywood already had a way of punishing men who stepped too far outside the fantasy. And Harry Hamlin learned that lesson the hard way. In 1981, he was the kind of man studios loved. Handsome, masculine, classical, heroic. After Clash of the Titans, he looked like a future leading man. The type of actor Hollywood could sell to women, magazines, and movie posters. But 1 year later, he made a choice that changed everything. He played a gay man in Making Love. Not as a joke, not as a villain, not as a dirty secret. He played him with humanity. And in 1982, that was dangerous. Hamlin later said the movie was too early and that it effectively ended his film career. He said it became the last studio picture he ever did, that the door shut with a resounding smash. Think about that. One performance, one gay role, one decision to treat queer love seriously. And Hollywood suddenly stopped seeing him as a safe romantic leading man. The tragedy is not that Harry Hamlin was mistaken for gay. The tragedy is that Hollywood thought being mistaken for gay was enough reason to pull away. No scandal, no crime, no career-ending behavior, just fear. Fear that women would not desire him anymore. Fear that male audiences would not accept him. Fear that a straight actor who could convincingly love another man on screen might make people uncomfortable. And yet, decades later, that same role is remembered as brave, ahead of its time, even life-changing for viewers who had almost never seen gay love treated with dignity in a mainstream studio film. So was Harry Hamlin punished for making a bad career move? Or was he punished because Hollywood was too cowardly to evolve? Drop your thoughts below. Did he sacrifice his leading man future? Or did he expose how fragile Hollywood's idea of masculinity really was? 2. Hugh Jackman, too masculine to be gay, too gentle to be straight? Here's the strange thing about Hugh Jackman. He could be Wolverine, violent, muscular, untouchable, and America would call him a man's man. But let him sing, let him dance, let him kiss a man on a Broadway stage. Let him be elegant, theatrical, charming, emotionally open. And suddenly, people started whispering. For years, Hugh Jackman was followed by rumors about his sexuality. The speculation has often been linked to his Broadway work, especially The Boy from Oz, where he played gay entertainer Peter Allen. Jackman has spoken about a male stage kiss that became part of the rumor machine, and he has said the gossip did not offend him in the way some people might expect. That is what makes his story different. Hugh did not respond by acting disgusted. He did not try to prove his masculinity by insulting gay men. In one interview, he made it clear that sexuality was not the most interesting thing about a person. But he admitted the rumors were frustrating, especially because of what they did to Deborah Lee Furness, his wife at the time. And that is where the story becomes darker, because the rumors were not only about him, they turned his marriage into a conspiracy. They turned his wife into a punchline. They treated a real woman as if she were a prop in someone else's theory. That is the cruelty people often ignore. When the public decides a man is too graceful to be straight, they do not just attack him. They attack everyone around him. They question his love. They rewrite his marriage. They make his private life feel like evidence in a trial he never agreed to enter. Hugh Jackman survived it because his image was too powerful to break. But survival is not the same as freedom. So here's the question. Why was Wolverine allowed to be masculine only when he had claws, but questioned the moment he showed softness? Tell us below. Are rumors like this harmless gossip, or are they just another way society punishes men for not fitting one narrow version of masculinity? 3. Jake Gyllenhaal, the cowboy who made America uncomfortable. Sometimes a role is so powerful that people stop seeing the actor. That is what happened to Jake Gyllenhaal after Brokeback Mountain. He did not just play Jack Twist. He gave the character hunger, tenderness, loneliness, and danger. Alongside Heath Ledger, he helped turn a forbidden love story into one of the most important films of the 2000s. But when the movie became a cultural earthquake, so did the rumors. Suddenly, Jake was not only being praised for his performance, he was being questioned. People wanted to know if the chemistry was too real, if the longing looked too convincing, if a straight actor could really play that kind of love unless some part of it came from truth. Years later, when asked about the gay rumors that followed Brokeback Mountain, Jake said he took it as a huge compliment. That answer was smart, elegant, almost bulletproof. But it also hides the uglier truth. Because Brokeback Mountain did not just challenge audiences to accept two men in love, it challenged Hollywood's entire idea of male beauty. Jake was young, handsome, sensitive, and desirable. And the moment the desire was directed toward another man on screen, the culture did not know what to do with him. Some people admired his courage. Some mocked the movie as the gay cowboy film. Some treated the role like a stain he would need to outgrow. And yet, Jake never ran from it. He did not apologize for the tenderness. He did not mock the love story to protect himself. He allowed the work to stand. That is why this case is so emotional. Jake Gyllenhaal was not destroyed by the rumors the way earlier actors were, but he still had to carry the burden of a culture that asked, can a man act gay without becoming suspicious? Maybe the real scandal was never about Jake. Maybe the scandal was that audiences could believe in violence, war, and murder on screen. But two men loving each other felt too dangerous to separate from real life. So what do you think? Was Jake protected by his talent and beauty? Or did Brokeback Mountain permanently change how people looked at him? 4. Andrew Garfield, the sentence that almost ate him alive. Sometimes a man does not get destroyed because he hates the community. Sometimes he gets destroyed because he tries to love it and says the wrong thing. Andrew Garfield was never the cold macho kind of movie star Hollywood used to worship. He was emotional, sensitive, soft-spoken, the kind of actor who could cry without looking weak, who could make vulnerability feel masculine. And for some people, that was already enough to question him. Then came Angels in America. Garfield stepped into the role of Prior Walter, a gay man living through the AIDS crisis, one of the most sacred, painful roles in modern queer theater. It was not just a performance. It was history, grief, politics, sex, death, survival. But during a discussion about the role, Andrew made one comment that exploded across the internet. He said he felt like a gay man without the physical act, while talking about his immersion in queer culture and RuPaul's Drag Race. The backlash was immediate. Some people felt he had reduced gay identity to TV, aesthetics, and performance. Others believed he was being punished for a clumsy attempt at solidarity. And that is where the tragedy becomes complicated. Because Andrew was not mocking gay people. He was not trying to run from them. He was trying to show reverence. But in a culture where queer pain has been exploited for awards, even a badly worded sentence can sound like theft. He later clarified that he identifies as heterosexual and that his comments were taken out of context. But the damage was already done. Suddenly, the conversation was no longer about his acting. It was about whether a straight man had the right to touch queer trauma at all. So what was Andrew supposed to do? Stay away from the role and be accused of fear? Take the role and be accused of taking space? Speak about queer culture and be accused of appropriation? Stay silent and be called cowardly? That is the no-win trap modern male stars face. Andrew Garfield's story is not just about rumors. It is about a man caught between admiration and accusation, between empathy and ownership, between art and identity politics. 5. Darren Criss, the straight boy who became a gay icon. Darren Criss did not just play a gay character. For millions of young viewers, he became the face of First Love. When Blaine Anderson walked into Glee, he was not treated like a punchline. He was confident, romantic, talented, desirable. At a time when many gay teenagers still felt invisible, Blaine gave them something rare. A boy who could sing in the hallway and still be loved back. But Darren Criss was straight. And that single fact followed him everywhere. Fans adored him. Shippers obsessed over him. Interviewers questioned him. Critics debated him. To some, he was an ally who helped change TV. To others, he was another handsome straight man receiving applause, fame, and awards for playing lives that real queer actors were still struggling to be allowed to play. The pressure only grew after the assassination of Gianni Versace, where Darren played Andrew Cunanan and won major awards. Suddenly, the same queer-coded space that helped build his career also became a battlefield. Then came the decision that made his story so powerful. Darren said he would no longer take gay roles because he did not want to be another straight boy taking a gay man's role. Think about the irony. Hollywood once punished straight men for playing gay. Now, Darren Criss was stepping away because playing gay had become too complicated, too political, too ethically heavy. Was that growth? Was it guilt? Was it pressure? Or was it the only respectful move left? Years later, when he described himself as culturally queer, the debate started again. Some people understood what he meant. He grew up around queer culture, queer artists, queer pain, queer joy. Others felt the phrase crossed a line, as if he was claiming closeness to an identity without carrying its full cost. That is the tragedy of Darren Criss. He helped millions feel seen, but he could never fully belong to the world that embraced him. He was celebrated for being convincing, then questioned for being too convincing. Loved for honoring queer stories, then criticized for benefiting from them. Does he deserve happiness? Of course. But his story asks a harder question. Can a straight actor be a queer icon without becoming a symbol of Hollywood's unfairness? 6. Nicholas Galitzine, the beautiful boy trapped in the fantasy. Nicholas Galitzine looks like the kind of man the internet does not know how to leave alone. Too handsome, too polished, too romantic on screen, too good at playing desire that feels forbidden. And once a man like that plays queer love more than once, the public stops asking about the character and starts investigating the actor. Handsome Devil, Red, White, and Royal Blue, Mary and George. Again and again, Nicholas stepped into stories about secrecy, longing, seduction, and identity. And because he played them with such tenderness, people began treating his real life like a hidden script waiting to be decoded. But Nicholas has publicly identified as straight. That should have been enough. But in the age of fandom, it rarely is. Every look becomes evidence. Every friendship becomes a theory. Every soft gesture becomes a clue. And the more convincing he is as a queer character, the more some viewers feel entitled to ask whether he is really acting. What makes Nicholas different is that he did not respond with arrogance. He responded with guilt. He has spoken about feeling uncertainty over whether he was taking space from LGBTQ actors, while also saying he sees these characters as complex people beyond sexuality. That is a heavy burden for a young leading man, because he is not just carrying roles, he is carrying an argument bigger than himself. Who gets to tell queer stories? Who gets praised for them? Who gets paid? Who gets protected? And who gets left outside the audition room? At the same time, Nicholas has also talked about the discomfort of being reduced to his looks, feeling objectified, like his body and beauty are being consumed before his work is taken seriously. That is the hidden tragedy behind the heartthrob image. People see the perfect face. They do not always see the anxiety underneath it. They see the fantasy prince, the seductive aristocrat, the internet boyfriend. They do not always see a young actor trying to prove he is more than a body, more than a rumor, more than a role fans want to own. So does Nicholas Galitzine deserve to be loved for his talent without being interrogated for his identity? Or is this the price modern fame demands from every beautiful man who dares to play softness too well? 7. Taron Egerton, one word that became a coming-out rumor. Sometimes a rumor does not begin with a scandal. Sometimes it begins with one word. Cutie. That was all it took for Taron Egerton to become the center of speculation. After he posted a photo with a male friend and called him a cutie, parts of the internet immediately asked the same question: was Taron coming out? And that is the strange prison handsome men live in now. If they are cold with other men, they are called arrogant. If they are warm, playful, affectionate, or emotionally open, people turn it into evidence. A caption becomes a confession. A friendship becomes a theory. A joke becomes a headline. Taron later made it clear he was not gay, but he refused to act ashamed. He said he would still call his friends beautiful, cuties, and gorgeous, because why should straight men be terrified of affection? That answer made his story powerful, because Taron had already stepped into one of music's most iconic queer stories, playing Elton John in Rocket Man. He did not play Elton as a joke or a costume. He played the addiction, loneliness, desire, shame, and hunger to be loved. The world praised him, but praise came with pressure. Once a straight man plays queer pain too well, people start asking if the performance is too real. If he shows tenderness, they speculate. If he denies it, they watch his tone. If he embraces queer fans, they question whether it is allyship or strategy. That is the trap. Taron's tragedy is not that he was mistaken for gay. The tragedy is that male affection is still treated like breaking news. A man cannot simply love his male friends out loud without people turning it into a courtroom. So here is the question. Did Taron handle the rumors with grace? Or does Hollywood still force straight men to explain every soft part of themselves? 8. Jack Falahee, the man who stayed silent until silence became too heavy. Jack Falahee's story begins with a performance so bold that people forgot it was acting. On How to Get Away with Murder, he played Connor Walsh, confident, seductive, complicated, openly gay. And because Connor's sexuality was not hidden or softened, viewers immediately turned their attention to Jack himself. Was he gay in real life? At first, Jack refused to answer, and that silence became its own scandal. Some fans respected it. Others treated it like a mystery to solve. Every interview became a trap. Every answer was analyzed. If he said too little, people assumed he was hiding. If he said too much, the story would stop being about Connor and become about Jack's private life. That was the dilemma. He did not want sexuality to become a marketing tool. He did not want the power of a queer character reduced to the actor's personal label. In a fair world, that would have been respected. But the world is rarely fair. After the 2016 election, when fear was rising for many marginalized communities, Jack finally spoke. He said he was straight, but he also said he did not want his silence to be mistaken for neutrality. He wanted to stand clearly with the LGBTQ+ community. That moment changed everything. Because Jack was not only answering gossip, he was choosing a side in a culture war. And still, the debate remains uncomfortable. Some people say straight actors like him helped normalize gay characters on mainstream TV. Others ask why openly gay actors were not given those same career-making opportunities first. That is why Jack's case is so layered. He was praised for playing queer desire fearlessly, but questioned because he was not queer himself. He tried to protect the character from gossip, but eventually had to reveal his own identity just to stop the noise. 9. Tyler James Williams, the man who called out the game. Not every rumor begins with a role. Sometimes it begins with the way a man speaks, the way he dresses, the way he carries himself, the way he refuses to perform masculinity loudly enough for strangers. That is what makes Tyler James Williams' story so important. For years, people online speculated about his sexuality. Not because he made a public confession, not because he asked for the conversation, but because the internet decided his energy, his style, and his softness were clues. And then Tyler did something many stars are too afraid to do. He called it out. He made it clear he was not gay, but his message was bigger than a denial. He warned people about the danger of overanalyzing someone's behavior to catch them, because behind that game is something cruel. The idea that gayness is a secret to expose, a weakness to uncover, a label to force onto someone before they are ready, or even when it is not true. That is where his story becomes powerful. Tyler was not just defending himself. He was defending every boy who grew up being told he walked wrong, talked wrong, dressed wrong, laughed wrong, or loved too gently. He was defending every man who has ever been punished for not fitting into one narrow version of masculinity. And that is the tragedy. A man should not have to be loud, aggressive, or emotionally closed off just to be believed. A straight man should not have to prove he is straight. A gay man should not have to be exposed before he is ready. And no one should have their identity turned into a guessing game for entertainment. So, did Tyler deserve to be questioned just because he did not fit someone else's idea of manhood? Or did he expose one of the ugliest habits of modern culture? The obsession with turning a person's private identity into public sport. Comment below. Is sexuality speculation harmless curiosity? Or is it another form of bullying dressed up as fandom? 10. Misha Collins, the joke that became a storm. Misha Collins did not need a tabloid scandal to become part of the sexuality rumor machine. All it took was one confusing moment. At a fan convention, Misha made a comment that many people interpreted as him coming out as bisexual. The crowd reacted. The internet moved fast. Headlines spread even faster. For a brief moment, fans believed one of Supernatural's most beloved stars had finally revealed something deeply personal. But then came the apology. Misha explained that he had misspoken. He said he was straight, And more importantly, he apologized for the confusion, making it clear he did not want to take up space or co-opt an LGBTQ+ experience that was not his. That is what makes the story so messy and so human. Because Misha was already part of one of the most intense fandoms on television, Supernatural fans had spent years reading between the lines of Castiel and Dean, debating subtext, shipping, longing, repression, and queer-coded storytelling. By the time Misha misspoke, the fandom was already a battlefield of desire, disappointment, and projection. So when he said the wrong thing, it did not land in silence. It landed in a world that had been waiting for meaning. Some fans felt hurt. Some felt misled. Some defended him. Others said the reaction proved the problem. People are so desperate for representation that they sometimes place impossible emotional weight on real human beings. And that is the final lesson of this entire video. Harry Hamlin was punished for playing gay too early. Hugh Jackman was questioned for being too theatrical. Jake Gyllenhaal was doubted for loving too convincingly on screen. Andrew Garfield was attacked for saying the wrong thing. Darren Criss stepped away from roles that made him famous. Nicholas Galitzine carried guilt. Taron Egerton had to explain affection. Jack Falahee had to break his silence. Tyler James Williams had to call out the guessing game. And Misha Collins shows us how fast a single sentence can become a storm. Maybe the real question is not, are they gay? Maybe the real question is, why do we think we own the answer? So after all these stories, maybe the real issue was never whether these men were gay or straight. Maybe the real issue is why society still treats sexuality like a mystery to solve, a scandal to expose, or a weapon to control men who don't fit one narrow idea of masculinity. Every person deserves privacy, dignity, and the freedom to love without being judged. But what do you think? Are these rumors harmless curiosity or a kind of punishment? Comment below.